This war was now costing British taxpayers £2.5 million a month. In desperation, the British built a formidable line of blockhouses throughout the country. Boers were to be flushed out, not fought. Private Bowers described how the system worked.
Now, they divided the country up into a sort of a vast chessboard, and they built blockhouse lines all across the country, not in squares, it just depended upon the shape of the terrain, but in squares or triangles or oblongs, and they were consisted of barbed wire fences, 3 or 4 strands high, and then a strand down that side and a strand down that side, and another one that, so you've got about 20 strands of wire. Millions of miles of barbed wire were used in that war, and then every so often, a matter of perhaps 500, 600 yards, there was a little blockhouse, and that was a little round corrugated iron hut, double walls filled in with rock or earth in between, a foot apart, and with loopholes round it, and there would be 4 or 5 infantrymen in there, and they would stay months on end. They were supplied with food. Well, all these barbed wire fences went from blockhouse to blockhouse to blockhouse all over the country, hundreds of miles of this barbed wire fence, and it gave them squares or triangles or oblongs of country, which perhaps was 50 miles across in a square, something of that sort. Well, perhaps in that square there would be commandos of Boers, you see, hiding in the mountains or in the plains or somewhere. And what happened was all the British mounted forces were assembled in a line on one side, and they marched right across the square to the other side, and when the Boers came to the blockhouses, the men in the blockhouses, there were no machine guns in those days. Of course, what the Boers did, they had bullocks with them, and they drove the bullocks in the night against the barbed wire fence, and bullocks to crash down the barbed wire fence. Then they were in another square, you see, but in the meantime we'd probably caught a lot of them, you see, and eventually that brought the war to an end.
The new British Commander-in-Chief, Lord Kitchener, also resorted to a scorched earth policy. Some 30,000 Boer farmhouses were razed to the ground.
We used to go into a farmhouse and pile up the furniture and set fire to it, perhaps have a bang on the piano, if they got a piano, before we smashed it, and set fire to it and burnt it. And all the sheep and the bullocks we used to try and drive away because they became useful to us, and the sheep we just killed and left there. I can remember we killed 800 sheep one night and just left them lying there. Everything's bone dry out there, of course. I mean, it's a hot and dry climate, everything's bone dry. No, just piled up the furniture and then destroyed all the farms. In order, the object of that was to starve the Boers out. They couldn't stop them fighting by capturing them or getting at them. You could never get at them because they were always well away before you could get there, you see. So they adopted the system of trying to starve them out, and they burnt all their farms, and the Boers had to rely on what they'd got hid up in hiding places in the mountains, you see. That was the only way that they could carry on. I came across a little farmhouse, quite a tiny little place. It was nothing more than a really little corrugated iron house, and there was a young woman there and a child, and the young woman was on the point of giving birth, I think, pretty well to another child. She was enormous, and she was weeping and shrieking for us to do something. Our column was marching on, and I think I was out on the flank. We used to, of course, have flankers out each side, and an advance guard and a rear guard on all the columns. And I came across this little hut with several other fellows, and this poor woman was crying her eyes out because obviously she was going to have a child before long, and there wasn't a soul within 50 miles or something of it, and God knows what happened to her. She was weeping and crying for us to take her with us, but we couldn't, of course. We were a column of mounted soldiers.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.